We have been here for 124 years. We're celebrating 125 next year. And Juliette Fowler, our namesake, left the land and basically her estate of $4,000 to her sister to build a home for the elderly and for children, an orphanage. Juliette Fowler's vision was to take care of children all the way to the elderly, so that generation. And that's why being an intergenerational community is very important to us, because that was her vision, it was her dream. And she was a young woman who chose to do something in her time, 124, almost 130 years ago when she started thinking about it, to do something that other girls and women her age wouldn't have dreamed of doing, didn't think they had the capacity to do, because it was a different world then. And she had a tragic life, but you would have never known it from what you see and what you hear about how she was benevolent and she paid it forward. You just would have never known she had a marriage, a wonderful marriage, and a first child she lost, a second child she lost to death, and then a tragic loss of her husband at a very young age. And she was also taking care of her elderly parents. And she decided that she wanted to not only take care of her parents in an environment that was home-like, but they needed care. They needed nursing and they needed services. She couldn't provide them at home, but she didn't know exactly what to do for them and how to do that. So she started traveling the country and looking at places that provided care and services, and talking to researchers and doctors and people who looked at the mind. And back then they looked at it in an entirely different way than they do now. But she wanted to know, what can I do to enhance the quality of their lives? And she had a lot of ideas. She picked up a lot of things over the years of her travels, brought it back here, told her older sister, Sarah Harwood, what she wanted to do, and then she became attached to a young child in the community. And she realized from that experience, that homeless child, and many other homeless children, that she wanted to take care of children as well. So she told her sister, "That's what I want to do. Will you do this with me?" Well, unfortunately, just a few years later, she'd been taking care of so many people all her life, she didn't take care of herself. And she didn't go to get her health care that she needed. And so, long story short, she had a surgery procedure done back when there wasn't sterilization, things that we do now. And she died shortly after that surgery from an infection. But she left in her will $4,000 and 15 acres. And Sarah Harwood, her sister, took that money and that vision and made it happen. So they built the nursing facility, called it a home for the aged. Now we call it retirement and long-term care and skilled care. And then she also built an orphanage for children. And that was way back when. And since then it's evolved. Being intergenerational, we've said, and I've said for years, it's so important for our elderly to still have contact with children. It's even more important for children to have contact and interaction with the elderly. But children to youth, the scope of life, it's so important to maintain all of that contact and that interaction with all of those generations. And so it's reciprocal. The benefits are reciprocal. It's wonderful for the elderly to be able to impart their wisdom, their years of experiences with children all the way through young adults. And what we've seen is that both are benefiting. It's a blessing for both.